Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the IESF Europe Regional Qualifiers. You thought we might switch out, but it's still me, Arashi, with the mystic Burger Kim herself. Probably going to make some more unpredictable calls today that will come true. So, welcome back. And today we're having a bit of a change of pace. We're going to be
hmm
talking more, obviously, about the Women's League, the women's scene here in
hmm
Mobile Legends.
Oh, yeah, that is so poetic, Arashi, because we just finished MWI this
Mm.
yesterday, and how iconic it is that both of us are on this today. You from Indonesia, me from the Philippines, casting a European regional qualifier. So we have to talk a little bit about what happened in the female scene, of course, all across the globe. So recently concluded EWC, the dynasty, the era, the streak was finally broken. And I honestly am speechless and is so happy. It's gonna be a new era for the women's scene. And of course, we're gonna be kickstarting it off here today as well for the European region. And who knows? We might find the next brilliant players here in
Mm.
this region. And we've seen so many things happen in the past few days, Arashi. The past 3 days that we've been here. And coming into today, I think it's going to be a little bit more, I would say it's not that different because I would say these ladies definitely have a lot to put out to be able to come here and, possibly get in a slot to WEC.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, back at home, if in a couple of years Europe becomes a superpower, superhouse region, you can thank Kim for that. You heard it here first. But, on the era being over, right? I think you have to go back to the old African adage. People don't think the universe be like it is, but it do. The fact is they've been reigning supreme for so long. At this point it becomes like it's only a matter of time, right? Whatever comes up must go down eventually. And as
Oh, yeah.
painful as it is, it's man, the fact that it happened in the event that
The
it did,
biggest stage,
I think
right?
it's exactly where it's actually there'll be a monument and all that. There's a lot of fanfare around that achievement, right? So it's a great moment for I believe Malaysia and the Filipino women's scene because again it was looking so hopeless for so long. And then the moment they got it done is in one of the biggest stages in the world. So I'm really happy for them, but being completely fair, it's a bitter pill to swallow.
Oh yeah, I mean 24 win streak for the Indonesians, and yeah, I
Oh
mean
man.
the biggest world stage ever. You know what? If Arashi just take a look at SBS, I actually called it with Eterna before we actually closed out SBS
No
women.
way.
So yeah, I said just wait for it because she was teasing me about the win streak and everything. I was like, just wait for it. But you know what? We have to take a closer look at what's gonna happen here today. We got three
Right.
again best out of three matches that we're gonna be giving you guys, and there you have it. This is our schedule for today. It's gonna be Belarus versus Croatia. Then you also have Croatia versus Turkey for the next matchup. So it's a back-to-back Croatian matchup, and then finally we have
Wow.
Serbia versus Ukraine. So we've seen in the males division or the men's division, we've seen Turkey and Ukraine play, and both of them actually. Oh yeah, actually both of them have made it far in the tournament and actually will be in WEC for the men's division. But here in the realm of the women's scene, let's see if it's still going to be as dominant as they are in the in the male scene. So this is gonna be the schedule. So hope you guys don't miss out on any action. Please stay tuned until the very end if you guys want to get a glimpse of European female MLBB.
I think that's what we were looking forward to for sure. Because sometimes, even though it's the same region, the same area, you do see that in a lot of different regions here, the male and female teams kind of develop their own different kind of meta, right? The fact is there are
Right.
differences in preferences, there are differences in mindsets and play style. So sometimes you can find a very completely different kind of meta compared to their male counterparts, which means that today it's no less interesting compared to the first few days where we were looking at the men's scene. And for this first match, Belarus against Croatia, I think the immediate question is that if Croatia is attempting to play like a back-to-back type deal right here, how is it going to factor in with their strategy, right? Are they going to be thinking about conserving stamina? Are they just going to go
Oh
full
yeah.
blast and just go with the flow and see what happens? Because it's a bit unusual, right? I don't think a lot of teams would like to be in a situation where they're going to be playing a game back to back. Because even if they do win, and there's some momentum going on there, and they're warmed up, it's tough mentally, and from a stamina perspective, it's also a long course of events, especially if we do see a full three game series
Oh yeah.
in match number one, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of that too, right? That you're talking about back-to-back matches with two different teams that you have to prepare for. And if you're talking about BO3 matches, right? The first match is going to be very crucial. So say Croatia does make it out to in the first match, right? You still have to think about the next match. Or if you lose out in the first series, you kind of have to have that hard reset before you head on to the second series, right? So it's very tough here for the Croatian team, but I'm sure that they got this day prepared very well. And to think about it too,
Ooh.
it is going to be a day that they'll possibly be playing at least a maximum of, well, definitely a maximum of 4 matches for
Hmm.
these two series, or if ever it does extend out to a 3 game series for both series, it's going to be like at least like 6 matches overall. Did I get that right? I'm not really that good at math, so it's at least 6 matches if ever it does stretch out to a game number 3.
That's a big if again. And if that
A big
happens
if.
and if they're on the losing side, right? It's just so much more mental pressure, and it's a lot harder to reset from a situation like that. So we'll have to wait and see. I do feel like there is still room if they really want to try and hide some of their signature picks, some of their strategies. But overall, we're still back at the same mindset. It's a best of three, and momentum is a very real thing. So the first game, I think, will be very telling with the preferred playstyle for both these teams, and I'm looking forward to seeing how many differences we're going to see, especially in the jungle, right? Because I think
Oh
there's still a
yeah,
lot of options available.
right.
The mid lane and jungle, we were highlighting for, at least I was highlighting for the men's scene, but not for the women's scene. I feel like there is a chance that we're going to see a bit more diversity, but you know, at this point, we have to wait and see.
Yeah, looking back into the men's matches that we've had for the past 3 days, Arashi, I want to ask you though, what are the top 3 heroes that come into mind? Let's say you're talking about the past 3 days only. Like, what heroes do you remember or that stick out to you very much or that stand out to you?
Oh man,
Oh yeah,
I think
that's
we
right.
heard a bit of a
Little voice in my
whisper.
head
By the
says
way,
says
someone
Fanny.
says
Oh yeah, we
Fanny.
actually ended it out real strong with that Fanny. Oh, that is one. That is one. And the Roger for me. Roger. How about you, Arash? You have to give one. You have to give one. Something that really stuck with you the entire time.
I think for me, it's still also the Roger, just because of how many big moments we
Right?
saw from it, and how often it just comes up in the drafting phase as a prio, right? But I think a very underrated one will be the Edith. I really feel like it's just that much more flexible, but we do see that it's still picked up, but not as prioritized in the first couple of picks so far. So you know, consider that you went with the Roger, Kim. I think we're gonna see a lot of Rogers today.
I think Arashi's just being an Edith fanboy here. You mentioned it several times for the past 3 days. Like it was all about the Edith,
It's
and for
good.
me, I'm like a Roger fangirl here. So it makes sense, right? For everybody who's been wondering, yeah, Edith is a girl. Edith's a girl, and
Yes.
Roger's a guy. So yeah, I think it's those two that seem to be really meta in, or I would say like a popular pick in the European region. And if you guys go over to like the official website, you can see like some of the top heroes that have been picked up. And so far, like in the current meta, even in all across the servers, it is also Roger that stands on top, if I'm not mistaken, if not one or two of the assassins. But speaking of the lineups here, we're gonna have to talk about the player lineups rather of Belarus first, and some of them are
Oh,
actually blanked out because their names are in their native language. So we're gonna have to either call it out by the hero name later on to make sure that it's properly read or properly broadcasted here on stream. So we have here. I can't believe I'm actually reading this. Relax, I'm mommy. So also got Maria. Two Marias here with different surnames, and then we got Myers, and last but not least, we got Say Meow. I love it. Very spicy names here coming out from Belarus, and hopefully we can have this. We are looking forward to see some spicy matchup from these ladies as well, from the Belarus team. But any thoughts, Arashi? You always have some comments on the IGNs of the players. Any thoughts about this?
I mean, do I? In the past couple of days, we've seen some very Japanese, quote unquote,
Hmm.
anime themed IGNs. So, being a man of culture myself, I have to comment on it. But for Belarus, not a lot of those just yet. Against them today, though, the lineup from Croatia, we'll have to wait and see. It's
Oh
speed
wow,
or feed.
I
Tessa
like that.
3813. So 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 useless, so useless. Depending how you want to read it.
So
Ivona
oh
77,
yeah.
Succubus and Succubus, man. Okay, very,
Oh, I like that.
I would
That is
say,
so.
interesting names here coming from Croatia. A lot more
Mhm.
personality, I would say.
Yeah, that's really funny because if you look at soy useless, like it really depends on how you read it. Okay, again, it's
Mhm.
gonna depend on how they're gonna do in the actual matchup. And okay, this is gonna be the team or possibly the lineup that you guys will see like back to back because Croatia has like back to back matches, right? Up against firstly up against Belarus, and then later on they're gonna be going up against Croatia for the second match. But now we're gonna kick start it off with those first two teams. And Arashi, we've seen the Rogers, we've seen the Ediths, but I think even in you were talking about the similarities between the male and female division. How do you
Mhm.
feel about like let's say let's go to our region. Let's go to you first. Like for Indo, right? Is it quite similar? Like when you watch the men's division and the women's division, is it like similar when it comes to the playstyle, or like does it kind of switch up a little bit when it comes to like the female scene? They tweak it a little bit, just a little different playstyle or different drafting for the teams.
I feel like, call me a bit biased, but since Vitality has been so dominant, I feel like they have opted to go for a lot more plays, a lot more heroes that have a higher reward, but also higher risk. And since they have been that dominant, right, they're able to actually get more value out of it because they have been so much better. So I feel like, in that sense, the latest division in Indonesia at least has uh, a lot more aggressive heroes that might not work in the same way or as easily or as reliably in the men's division. And along with that, if they don't really go for something full on aggressive, they also tend to go for a lot more conservative type heroes, as in heroes that
Oh,
are a bit more passive and reactive in a way, right? Which is
right.
why earlier on, I think
Okay.
when Vitality went for the Zask, by all means, Zas isn't a very aggressive hero. He doesn't really set up, doesn't really jump forward with a big crowd control tool. It's very defensive minded. And I think when Vitality came up with it, there's this idea, that this feeling of like, well, that makes sense, you know?
Okay, I get what you're trying to say there, right? Like, I'm curious though, what are the conservative heroes that you're talking about, right? Apart from the Zaz, is there anything in particular that you see that the team in, let's say, Indo picks up a little bit more than the males division?
Oh, I think by all means, I don't really cast too much of
Oh,
the women's scene, right? Not
mhm,
too much at least. Occasionally, I do, but I
mhm.
really feel like, if let's say they have an option to go for something like a Kufra, or something like a Kufra, right? Or back
Oh
then like an
yeah.
Atlas, right? A big moment maker. I think they would be a lot more comfortable going for something like a Minotaur that can still be used aggressively, but has a lot more usage in a defensive posture, or at least being more flexible, right? I think that's where
Mhm.
the main difference is, because for the males division, especially if your player is very comfortable on that kind of hero, a risky pick like the Kufra, or even weird picks, more damage oriented roamers that we've seen occasionally. I feel like we see a lot of those more on the males division. For the women's division, it's a bit more flexible, right? It's like they want to make sure that worst case scenario, they have something in the bag, so they don't really full on commit all in.
Yeah, I think it's the same case too, like what you've observed in Indonesia. It's the same case here in the Philippines. Like the female scene, I would say, has quickly adapted as well. Like sometimes whenever I'm watching, it is pretty much like I'm watching the men's division. Like I can just take off the IGNs; it still pretty much feels the same. They've adapted to the meta. Like once it shifted to the assassins recently, it has been the same case for the female scene, and
Mhm.
it's actually quite fast paced. Like if you really look at the matches here, so I really think that it's really time for more female teams to come up and rise, and this is one of them, right? Especially for the European division. I think for the females there, maybe not a lot of them have the chance, or there's not as much tournaments, right, for them to play in, and this is the best or the highest platform that they can showcase what they got here. And this is it, ladies. Like, show us what you have here, and perhaps I'm expecting to see something different. Usually that is the case, right? Maybe some more conservative type of heroes, if you're talking about that. Usually, like in the males division, we see like a lot of action Jacksons there, but here you might actually see some pocket picks that say it might
Mhm.
be kind of questionable when you say in the men's division, but here it does work out. So I'm talking about like pocket picks, like I think there was a time in the women's division, because I'm so big in that here in the Philippines. Like I usually do like women's
Mhm.
division. There was a time when the Loi wasn't even in the meta. There was a time that that was a thing in the female division. Even the Nana, like it's really people would say
Right.
it's a girl hero, like girls love to play it,
Mm.
right? When they play the game, that's something that they're comfortable with. But no, it seems to be something that they're good at, and they made it work in professional play at that. And it was a game that really stretched out so long, and it was very clean. So I love it. I can't wait to see like what these ladies will put out. And this is honestly my first dip into the international scene when it comes to the women's division. So I am really looking forward to this
Ooh.
matchup between Belarus and Croatia. And if you guys are watching on the stream right now, do let us know in the comment section, who are you guys rooting for, Belarus or is it Croatia? Because for the past few days, you guys have been rooting for some of your favorite teams. Do let them know. I'm pretty sure that a couple of the teams are having the stream on as well while they're playing. So please do let them know that they are supported. I think that is one thing that is really important to a lot of the players, both in the male division and the female division as well.
Absolutely. I do feel like a lot of people kind of downplay the effect of like the support because, whether you like it or not, it really makes quite a bit of a difference, right? The mental game, like we talked about, is very closely related to like the amount of support they get, right? Which is why when teams really get, a wave of popularity, sometimes you do see their performance also get boosted, right? With an extra bit of confidence coming through because of all the belief and support. So make sure you just, show up and make sure that your team knows that your opinion, your opinions also matter in that context. But right. Again, I do feel like with the male scene, it's a bit more continuous. There's a bit like a lot more events. There's a lot more things to kind of think about. So occasionally, you do feel like it's kind of there's a lot of like a margin of error, right? There's a lot less margin of error available. It's always going to be very much punished if they do make a mistake. But for scenes that are a bit younger, right, like the lady scene, or with regions that are really not as developed just yet, you really do see that the punish, the execution maybe will be a bit similar, right? Everyone has the same idea. They want to be aggressive, they want to be calculated. But whenever mistakes happen, they're not really as fast to punish, which is why sometimes some heroes can make an appearance because they're not nearly as. They're not punished as harshly if they do kind of fall behind or if they do make a mistake. So I think that's where we can see a bit more uh, flexibility and fluctuations in the drafting phase.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of supports as well in what you said earlier, and I do agree. Like a lot of these female players, even here in the Philippines, when the Flash of the Oasis was a big thing when it came out in the patch, it was all these ladies picking it up. I think we might see some, Matildas come through, Minotaurs as well, something that they're comfortable, and the Florine that the ladies really love, even here in the Philippines. So maybe there's a shift into that as well when it comes to the role position. So there's a lot of possibilities in the draft. We're still waiting for it, by the way. Oh, I just called it Mystic Kim, by the way. Just as I call it, here it is. Here's the drafting phase. It's going to be Belarus and Croatia. Belarus on the blue side, Croatia on the red, and immediately a ban on the Ling and the Roger. Yes, we've seen that way too much for the past 3 days, and there you go. Heading straight into the ban list, the Ling as well, which I consider one of the most OP heroes that really benefit from the Sky Piercer. The Zushin was also a game changer as well for teams like Georgia in the men's division. So I think it deserves that ban slot alongside the Helpert. Not so often do we see that, but I think Croatia does have some info here on Belarus.
Might be a respect ban technically. But for Belarus, they also going with the Fanny, like we were talking about earlier, and the Hayabusa even. So it seems like for the women's division, they're all going for to try and limit this high mechanical outplay style here with all the assassins. Belarus though strikes first, going for the Zask. So now for Croatia, they can go for like the Harriet if
Oh
they want to,
wow!
but immediately the Julian very
Immediately.
early on.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was it's not even like okay, let's give it like a few more seconds. They just instantly clicked it. So I think Croatia, it's very bold, and at the same time, they're prepared to take this on. I mean, if you first pick this kind of hero, this means that you're confident and you've practiced long enough with this hero that you are confident enough to first pick that. They also add up the ruby here, which is a great amount of crowd control, great setup. Again, very flexible. We've seen it in the hands of Mirai of Smart Omega in the Philippines. She loves using this as a roamer. You also got Baloyski from Geek Fam and Endo. They
Mm-hmm.
really love to go for the Ruby roam instead of the XP. So I think this is what Croatia has right now: a great CC and great burst damage, whereas Belarus has that sustainability. Uh, are they more of like the Terizla type of? Oh wow, wow. Okay, I didn't even
Mystic
see that, guys.
Kim.
I didn't even see that. I did not see this draft beforehand. Okay, I did not see anything at all. And I was just thinking, like, hey, the Zarisa would be good. A lot of the teams really love this, and honestly, one of my first big choices as well when it comes to the XP. Great sustain, great combination with like different heroes. But wow, this is looking way too scary. Like you get the Dominators to send into the portal of the chip. Man, we've seen way too many crazy plays coming out from the portal. Probably like a 50% success rate on the chip. But you know, you guys have witnessed it in the males division. If used really well, it can be so deadly.
Can be very, very deadly, but it depends on how they want to play this out as well. Because from the looks of it, they're going to be jumping into a Ruby, a Julian, and a Vexana, and we have seen how devastating all this AOE can be in the middle of a big fight. And the Julian, technically, as a first pick, we haven't seen it as often, but technically, if you look at how the Julian operates, right, the fact that you have technically three different ultimates available to you, depending on the order that you use them, that means that how you play this Julian can also be quite diverse, right? You can go for a empowered scythe, big burst playstyle. You can go for the empowered chain for the AoE crowd control. And if you want to go for the empowered sword just to be a bit more elusive, you can do that as well. So technically Croatia, they're still having a much more flexible composition here. They can go backwards, they can go aggressively as well. So I think it's great to hide really
Wow.
the main intention of your draft so far. Whereas for Belarus, it's go through the portal and go for a big fight. They have secured one big tool to make sure that everyone from Croatia kind of sticks around for that big fight. But I feel like if they want to make it more guaranteed, they need to get a few more tools here, just so they can alternate it, and so that even if they do, if Croatia does get away from the first one, they'll have an additional one to try again with a second chance.
What I love about the women's scene too, Arashi. Like you see the last few bands coming out from both Croatia and Belarus. These are the bands you will not see in professional play in the males division. Like it's a very specific meta, like super meta, patch heavy type of picks and bans. But here you can see in the female division, there's a whole lot more flexibility, a whole lot more respect bans coming through, and specific heroes that cater to specific players, and it deserves that ban slot up there. So they take away the Amon and the Claude here. That's one hero to really go up against pretty much anyone, especially in the late game. I'm still wondering if this SAS is going to be played in the mid lane. I mean, we've seen the players in the previous day also utilize the ZAS and the gold. So again, super flexible coming out from Belarus. So what is Croatia going to pick up first? Are they going to go for their XP laner, someone to go head to head with the Teresa, or are they going to go immediate for their golds? It seems like there's a lot of gold laner bans here for the last few picks. Or are they going to go for I don't know what's left to take? Oh wow, this is okay.
New.
Ixia, this is new. I see that it's great up against the
Oh,
wow, that is way too fast, Rashi. Not even like a few seconds, they just clicked it immediately. So I think they just know what is up here for Belarus. Louis and the export. Wow, that is just a lot of potential with this draft, right? Like the portal, the shortcut, every single thing. Again, global map control for Belarus. So it means I'm right. Again, Mystic Kim. This is a Zask in the gold lane. And the export going into the jungle, if I'm not mistaken, like based on what we've seen in the past few days. Last but not least, here for Croatia, they do need An XP laner, somebody against the Terizla here. What would you say here, Arashi? Will they go for like more CC, somebody that can also? Oh,
Man, I was about to call
okay,
it out too. Nah, because I saw the
all
way
right.
composition works against the Export, against the Terizla, and even the Zaz to a degree. An immobile Ixia is going to be so vulnerable, and
Oh
usually you
yeah,
would want to have some kind of protection. I was thinking that against all the crowd control, a Diggy would be very helpful, right? The extra movement speed and all that. But I think maneuverability, I think, is what they really required. And the Mathilda with the guiding wind, I believe even during the ultimate, you can actually pick up that guiding wind and kind of slide over as well. If I recall correctly, that is one of the interactions available here between the Ixia and the Mathilda. But even if it wasn't, right, the fact that you can kind of kite back away from all of the slows, all of the mid-range crowd control that can be thrown their way, I feel like the Mathilda really works out. I'm not sure if that was the idea in the beginning, whether it was supposed to be a Rome Ruby, and then seeing
oh
the
yeah.
draft, they're like, you know what? Never mind. Let's get a Mathilda right here, because over in Indonesia, back when the Chip and Loyi are always contested, whenever it's out there and a team has to face against the Chip or the Loyi without their own like global playmaking tool, they like going for this Mathilda exactly specifically so that they can kind of use the guiding wind and kind of give their backline carries like a second chance. Now, unfortunately for Croatia here, they can only save like one person, right? So if so useless here on the Ixia has to go with the guiding wind, that means that Die or Buy will be forced to actually fend for herself. And looking at the early game here, Speed or Feed already forced to use the flicker.
Yeah, I love this mid roam combination, right? Like both of them have like two options. It's multiple choices. So is it die or buy? Is it speed or feed? So I guess we'll have to find out from the Croatian team in just a little bit, right? For their side, what I'm really worried about Croatia here is their playmaker or their CC. I would say their only CC apart from like Ivona is gonna be the Ruby, and most of the time it's gonna be contained in the so far she's been contained in the XP lane. Going up against the Trizla is not gonna be that easy. So not unless they make or they can be a little bit extra in the XP lane, the Ruby or Succubus can actually join in the team fights. You see a lot of rotation happening already over to this top side, and with the portal, it's gonna be a little bit more drastic when it comes to the rotations and the ganks here. It's definitely going to be a little bit more leaning towards the side of Belarus here.
And the big concern for me, for Croatia, is the lack of frontline first and foremost. It's going to be a
Oh yeah.
Ruby or a Mathilda, so it's not a beefy wall of stone like a Terizla or an Edith, for example. And on top of that, they don't have a lot of purifies available, and there is a lot of crowd control on the side of Belarus, especially with all these macro tools to go for weird angles. I would think that there's going to be some purifiers available, but I guess again, gap closers and distance management is the main thing that they think will be an issue. But they're the ones going for the turtle first, though.
Oh man, that's gonna be a relax. Mommy, I got the turtle, and that is going to be the Eternal Guard being popped in, and that's the Loyi getting taken in there by the I Am Offended. It's gonna be Croatia drawing in the first blood. Everybody forced to flicker out here. Belarus, they did have a good positioning. There was the diversion play there by the Loyi, but unfortunately getting caught up in between Succubus. She was immediately able to get into the team fight, grabbing that I Am Offended, and it was over, right? That's really the thing here, to have the Ruby get into the team fights. If there's a way for Belarus to kind of deny that, right? Like the Terizla here has to be a little bit more aggressive.
Teresa could really be more aggressive, but against a Ruby, especially for now, Succubus will have a bit more of a sustained advantage, and you're seeing that she's just having a lot more pressure in that lane, especially after the turtle fights happened there. I really felt like it was kind of fast for Croatia to go straight for it over there without going for a bit more scouting. And for Belarus, the fact that they send RIM directly, they're
wow.
going in, actually going for a dive, going for more.
Yeah, they did get a speed or feed. Not yet feed yet for now, and now so useless. Not so useless for now. Gonna be able to evade all of that one. But that was a nice exchange that Belarus did here over on the top side. They did get the roamer. Not the one that they wanted though, but a nice attempt coming out from the export. And right now the Terizla over on the bottom side is gonna be a 2v 1v1 situation and now make that 2v2 as the portal comes in. It is going to be Drizzle down as Succubus will be forced to back away from that one. That's going to be Dominator's Descent coming through. Ivona as well diving right in, but he's going to get caught in between. Again, Myers, Dominator's Descent. A lot of things happening there as Speed or Feed will get taken down as well. Diversion play has been made as well back to the mid lane, and that's how fast Belarus can rotate.
The double global movement skills available for Belarus allows them to have so much more pressure around. Even though individually, at least, you're seeing that Diorbai, Succubus, and even So Useless, they're actually doing a lot better 1v1 in the lanes. But the big nurse for the Lo Yi is in the cooldown of the diversion. Now augmented by the chip, there's a lot more ways to actually make the plays happen. Look at the ultimate though, full barrage.
Yeah, full barrage from the backside. Ixia pops it in at the right time. Samyao is going to be the first one down. And the Eternal Guard as well. That is going to be, again, one turtle each this time for both sides to pick up. 4 minutes in, 3-3 is our score. 13k. I wouldn't say somebody's ahead as of the moment, not unless there's going to be a turret takedown here. The energy shields are also down here, Arashi. So looking at this, we're going to be heading into the mid game for a bit. There's a lot of heavy pressure here for Belarus, for Croatia onto their gold lane. Seems like they're focusing all of their traps or all of their strategies here on to the gold lane. And now Die or Buy forced to get out of that one with a flicker. Portals in, or actually gets into the portal, finds in a lot. That's going to be the enhanced chains by Ivona. Samyao, Eternal Guard from the backside. Speed or Feed. He's going to get a lot of the pokes from the backside. Dominator's Descent. 1 HP left. Forced to back away from that one. And that is going to be Belarus, I would say, getting in the better trade out there.
This is Croatia not really playing for the win conditions. They went for a bit more of a long duration fight. They, I think, attempted a pick off, but unfortunately not having enough damage to do so. They kind of allowed Belarus to kind of go back and forth and come back into the fight, and they weren't really grouped up together. I mean, even in the end, So Useless came in very, very late and barely so with the full barrage from so far away. If they really want to go for a decisive victory, we already highlighted the fact that they have a lot of combos, a lot of big AoE tools, and now they're going for a play on the bottom side.
Oh, wow. A play that the Terizla would have wanted to make, but it was a little bit too late there. That was 3 members, and it's going to be really hard to stand up against the I am offended and the enhanced chains. And now Samyao going to be able to spot out Succubus, to be able to dive out. And this is the beauty of having the Rupee, honestly, with the Brave Smite. You can tank up anything as of the point, right? Like, you can just keep on, popping in those skills and not really worry about being taken down. You are going to be extra tanky. So Useless here on the top side. Full barrage again, being laid out onto the Lo Yi. Flickers out back to safety. A lot of battle spells used here as Croatia this time will be able to get the Lord. There's not going to be any steals here coming out from Belarus, but the Eternal Guard from the backside. The portal comes through here, and that is going to be 1 by 1. Members here of Croatia falling down. Succubus right in the middle of everything. She's going to be able to sustain. She's going to be able to sustain a little bit more, but now up against the 5 members here of Belarus. She won't be able to make it though, but that was a whole lot of time being bought out there. But there was no exchange, so it was still Belarus on for the winning trade here. They got in a lot. The middle tower, they got in a lot of these big kills, but now they have to push forward here. They have to at least take in the towers, because if you look at it, Arashi, Croatia has been doing a great job in taking these towers. 2 down already for the side.
Yeah, during the whole sequence, the fact that they spent so much time with 4 members chasing down a single hero, that just allows So Useless to actually have a relatively untouched lane, push out forward and take the turret. Now Belarus though, with that advantage, with that pressure around the map, they're gonna start cutting off these side turrets and start taking them down. Now with less zones of safety, Croatia is gonna be finding it a lot more difficult to farm, even though they're in their own jungle. When it comes down to it, their whole composition relies on being able to kite back to delay the dive coming in from the side of Belarus, and then trade back the damage that way, right? If they're coming in for a straight up all in, when it comes to damage, there's just a lot more available for the side of Belarus, with the Lo Yi having all that spammability, but limited stacks on the on her spells, and with the Zask just kind of dealing slow but sure damage. Like Croatia, as long as they don't really get caught in a combo or a big flank, they can actually come out on top. But look at the bottom side though.
Yep, that is going to be the flank that you were looking for, Same Yao. I'm not so sure if they know if the Loi is in that bush. Wow, beautifully laid out with the full barrage on the backside. One by one, the members of Croatia are falling down to their demise. It's going to be so useless and die or buy. They're trying their very best to buy some time here. They're still fighting back. Could be an outplay here for So Useless. He's doing a 1-for-1 trade, though. He did get Same Yao. He gets taken down as well. That's going to be 4 for the prize of 2 here. And still Belarus wins the trade.
The fact that they were the ones proactive there, going in for the fight first, that just means that Croatia are always one step behind. And to make it worse, a lot of those battle spots weren't really available for them either. So you saw that once RIM, the Esports, comes in for the burst damage, even the full barrage that was placed so perfectly there is forced to be cancelled due to the threat of all this burst coming her way. So until later on, they're gonna wait for a few more items here for Croatia, and once they do kind of establish what they really want to have happen in a fight, who do they want to protect, who do they want to save the Eternal Guard for, who do they want to use the Guiding Wind for, once they do have all that lined up and calculated before the fight even happens, that's gonna be the beginning for them to actually come out on top. But now with the diversion play still available, they're going to the bottom side again, so doubling down.
Yep, Succubus. I am not so sure. She did get in some pokes here and there, but with the Lord marching in, that is going to be an extra unit down south, not to mention the portal as well from Same Yao. That is a whole lot of units, or a whole lot of teammates, or a whole lot of enemies to deal with. There is a lot of the pokes, though, from the backside. Let's see how Belarus will get this one in. They're going to have to wait for Succubus here to make that play. But right now, there's a lot of ultimates being invested here. Same Yao, though. He's going to get in a little bit too early. There's no follow-up. Flickers out. There was a nice attempt, but here comes the Esports. Sorry. Relax, rather. Mommy, I got the day. I got the moment. And now, with the immortality being popped here, she still has that last insanity. And right now, will they still go for more? They actually back away, get terrified there. Same Yao is going to be the first one down, as well as a double kill picked up by the Eternal Guard. Make that a triple. For die or buy, and this time it is going to be buy. She gets in 3 kills there with the Eternal Guard landing beautifully onto 3 members here of Belarus and gets the clapback.
A catastrophic play from Belarus. It was looking so good with them going in aggressive, and again the Esports just being such a problem here, going with the last insanity, zoning everyone away from the turret. But unfortunately, Croatia were able to clear the waves first, and afterwards, while Belarus were on the way out, the passive from Die or Buy on the Vexana just popped 2 members at the same time, and to make things worse for them, Succubus finally finding an opportunity to go aggressive instead of defensive, goes back in and turns it around. All things considered, no base turrets taken just yet. It was only the first Lord after all, but the fact that they were able to find a moment right here can be turned around immediately because Relax and Mommy comes in.
There's going to be a portal here as well, but wait, hold on. They don't really need that portal. It's still going to be for Trilizla. I think this time the Croatian team is a little bit more extra careful here right now when it comes to these bushes. It's a lot of surprise plays that can be made. I think more or less Succubus has to be the one that has to watch out for these ganks, because usually she's the one clearing out the lanes solo. But right now, I think no one should really force out the team fight. The Lord is up. This is the enhanced Lord for Belarus and Croatia to pick up, not unless they go in for somebody's speed or feed, though. It's slowed down there by the demonic spawns coming out from the Zask. Now, how can they get in here? They have the Matilda and Succubus the front line, so they are the ones that have to go in first. But how can you get in? You got Terizla, you got Same Yao covering every single entrance that they can make. They don't have the ID. They can't get in. They try an attempt with the Matilda speed or feed. The full barrage won't be enough to take the Lord. Retribution has been made. It is going to be desired by what? Taking in the Lord for the side of Croatia with a steal. The shutdown here by Relax. Mommy. He's going to be taken down real low. So Useless doing her very best as the Terizla will be able to take in the final kill. Succubus as well. Gonna be landing in a few blows here up against Trizla, but that's gonna be the Lord stolen by the Croatian team. And even though 4 of them are down, they can still have some breathing space right now. 13 minutes in. How did that even happen, Arashi? Was it the Eternal Guard? I think it was the Eternal Guard for sure. I mean, I mistake it as the Lord sometimes.
It's hard to say. Diversion to the top side to clear the Lord though. Despite the fact that there was a minion wave in the mid lane, with 4 members available there, they immediately went for the Lord instead of going for the base turret. I feel like they could have gotten a bit more value from that fight. It's unfortunate that they did not get the Lord in the first place. It's a good attempt from Croatia though to just start things off. Because again, when you can see, if we can predict where Belarus is gonna be, then the extra threat of the diversion of the shortcut play coming in is less efficient, right? It's less surprising because you can kind of have an idea on where they want to be around the map. That was a golden moment that they took advantage of, even though they were forced to actually sacrifice speed or fate to begin with. Now it's back to the waiting game, but look at this diversion.
Oh wow, that's gonna be 3 members coming in, and you got Myers as well, popping in the Dominator's Descent. Everybody a little bit too deep. You got in the penalty zone as well. Speed or feed in the middle of everything. The full barrage being laid out so well, but Ivona try to go in for the Loi, but for the prize of 3. Now they're at the backs against the wall for the side of Croatia. They're gonna have to back away for now. Again, Belarus, they do have these surprises that really catch Croatia off guard, but when they don't, right, this is the time that the Croatian team can capitalize. So again, it's a seesaw moment between these two teams, but so far it is Belarus on the lead, 46k for their side. And looking at the items here with the gold lead, of course it is going to be the Belarus team that is going on their final item. I think for the side of Croatia, I think some of them are or have yet to build their 4th item for now. So you can see the goal difference not that far just yet. I mean, it can swing with one team fight being won by the other team, but for now I think Belarus just has to put in a lot more of those surprise plays. But as for Croatia, they just have to catch this other team off guard.
And if you look at the gold, actually, for the side of Belarus, the wealthiest player in the game right now is RIM, is the Xborg here at 10k. So she's been farming up a storm whenever she's available. And considering that Xborg isn't exactly the best farmer in the jungle, she's doing a really great job here. And still 5-0 and 8, not a single time taken out because of so much focus that's drawn out away from her. You know, the last insanity, of course, is a big problem, but in the middle of a big fight, the Xbox just becomes a bit more neglected, right? She's not really focused down at all. Now with the Lord back up, Croatia has another chance to go for a combo, for a big fight, because look at the waves. No real setup is being done by Belarus to take advantage of the Loya's diversion or the chip shortcut. Look at Ivona going for a chunk of burst damage, but it won't still be good enough. Look at speed or feed, they'll have HP already.
Yep, but they're taking in a lot of the pokes here coming out from Belarus, right? They will commit here when they see the opportunity to do so. And now speed or feed. Great zoning there, but now Ivona as well. Gonna get caught in between. Every single member here of Belarus gets obliterated in one sweep. And now the diversion play. Will they commit for it? They commit. And there's the immortality is being popped here. Succubus, he's the only one who can defend this one. So useless though. Running in that full barrage to its fullest potential. And they still haven't shut down. Okay, they just did right now. That's the shutdown coming through. And now you see where the Vexana becomes a real nuisance here for the members here of Belarus. The only one that they can't really reach right now, which is really understandable, the Zask here of Myers that has been untouchable so far, 5-0-13. Now Dire by, why? That is getting a little bit too overconfident there. One more HP, I think she can make it back to safety though. Like if that was relax on mommy, well, she better run. In that case, she could have gotten taken down there at that point. But here comes the Lord. Second one, or rather, yeah, no, this should be the third one coming through, right? The first one was stolen. Second one was gotten in by Belarus. So both sides have gotten in the Lord. And now this is going to be another crucial Lord. 17 minutes into the game. Belarus and Croatia, whoever takes this in, for Belarus, this could be the inhibitors down for the side of Croatia. But if Croatia takes this one in, at least they can push in a little bit more space into the map.
And the big difference right here is the fact that the lanes on the far side is being cleared already by the Terizla. So now, if it comes down to a big fight at the Lord Pit, I mean, Croatia will be forced to send someone down here to really clear the waves for the setup. I don't think it was even necessary though, because earlier on the waves were actually pushing in favor of Belarus. So if they just stick around, they could have done something. But look at this, Ivona.
Wow, Ivona, he's gonna get in. They both use the retribution. And that's going to be Ivona down for the count right before the Lord take. There was some recalls being done here. Both sides are doing their very best. I love this little dance that they're doing. Not inside the Lord, but this time actually they're doing a lot of these dances outside the Lord pitch, which is really interesting, right? Now Belarus, after taking down Ivona, they should be able to get a grasp or a little bit more confident to take in this Lord, so they don't really have that nuisance of somebody taking it or stealing it away with the retribution. The only one who can actually steal it is perhaps, again, the Eternal Guard here of Zarabai. But I think at this point, with the numbers advantage, they're just not going to commit for it. It's going to be Belarus picking up this third Lord of the game.
Free Lord, due to the zoning that Seimia was able to actually execute there, and immediately diversion play, waiting for a chance to go on. So useless, most likely, but she'll just be out of range, out of danger. For Croatia, man, they gotta really establish how they want to play these fights out. It seems very, very chaotic. I mean, even Ivona, with all the damage, doesn't really seem to know who she's targeting in the middle of the fight. She's been going on the Terizla, going on the chip to a certain degree, and she has to pick, right? Who is the main person here that is the biggest problem for the team? If it's a Zask, then go for it. With a late game Julian level 15 with a bunch of items already completed, even with the Domineer's Descent, the burst damage from the Empowered Scythe should be available, should be enough to really cut down on that Domineer's Descent, whose HP has been lowered in the last patch. Now defending against the Lord, they have amazing high ground and good counter engage. So now Belarus go for some play.
Oh, that was a beautiful penalty zone, but I think it's a little bit too early, right? The Lord hasn't stepped in yet, and now they can retaliate. The full barrage here from the Ixia. Feed or feed, and there's gonna be relax. No, there's no relaxing this time for Croatia, as the last insanity is gonna be popped. Immortalities as well. It's gonna be Loy, first one falling. Everybody really low from Belarus. I think they're overstepping their welcome. The Eternal Guard has been landed here as well. And look at the death timers here, Arashi. 50 seconds for anyone who gets taken down, the longer the game gets. So I think for both sides, they have to be wary of that fact, right? And 2 members already down here for the side of Belarus. I don't think they should force out any more of these team fights, right? Like the Loi's down, Seimiao's down, so they don't have that only gasoline right now to go all across the map. So now they still do have their turrets left. 69 seconds. I think that should be enough time for them to respawn back, but again, the team fight should not be overextended. I think that was a little bit too overconfident there from Belarus, but they were able to successfully take down all the inhibitors though.
Exactly, all the base turrets are down for the side of Croatia, and now they're trying to force a fight. When it's still a 5v3, it is a very valuable time to try and go and maybe cycle the death timers, but they won't be able to do so. Eventually they back away, and now they're at risk of going again for a Lord play with any chance available for Belarus to come in with a big penalty zone, to go for a diversion play. It's almost like they didn't really fully commit and fully get advantage from the long death timers after quote-unquote sacrificing 3 base turrets to secure it. In 20 seconds, Belarus now with the push advantage on the far side of the map, with control advantage because of a better frontliner and better zoning tools like the Nightmarish Spawn that Myers has at her disposal. Croatia is just fighting an uphill battle right here, and it's almost like it seems like the best move they have is to just let go of the Lord and try and defend it. Because with their backs against the wall, there is not going to be a big diversion, and there's no way for the X-Borg, Galaxia Mommy, to go all the way in the back, that far out. If they can actually force Belarus to fight inside their base, inside the full barrage coming in from Soyuz, that could be a win condition, but Ivona...
Whoa, Ivona getting caught again in between the members here of Belarus. And it's going haywire. A little bit too scattered out here for Croatia. It was a nice attempt again by Ivona to assassinate the back lines. But being caught in the middle of the CC heavy composition of Belarus, a little bit too risky, but the risk that she was willing to take. 43 seconds before she was up. I think this is the signal that Croatia is just going to give up this, or not if Direby has anything to say about it, though. There's some attempts here, and her pokes are getting real right now. Even Say Meow is just saying ouch at this point. Oh, man. This is going to be Belarus. Yep. Belarus is going to be able to take down that Lord. Wow. Like, did you see that, Arashi? Like, one pop of that Eternal Guard, and yeah, skill 1 and 2 here from the Vexana was was enough to poke out Say Meow's HP bars. And without the inhibitors left here, will it be enough here for Croatia, Arashi? It's a heavy pressure onto Succubus here though. And a little bit on Ivona, right? Because they're the only ones that have the CC here. As compared to Belarus that just has so much more tools in their kit.
I feel like if Croatia can just play this defensively and literally use everything, the Eternal Guard, the Empowered Chains, as well as the Guiding Wind, to just kite back away from the main source of damage, they still have enough damage to really clear out these waves. Look at this though, Belarus going for the play, going to try and get the end.
Oh man, that's gonna be Loyi, Ivona taking down the back lines, and now the last Insanity being popped here by Relax Eye Mommy. Right after that, they get in the full barrage, a double for Ivona. This is what she wanted earlier. She gets a shutdown as well, picks up a triple, and successfully defends the base here of Croatia. The super minions are coming right in here. It's still not over for the Croatian team as Ivona pulls up a clutch maneuver to just extend the game a little bit more. And now here comes the question. Here's the question, Arashi. How does Belarus end this game? Sometimes that is a problem for the teams, right? Like, it seems like you have a solid start, but now it seems like after those two lords, Belarus can't seem to close it out just yet, and it seems like Croatia might just want to go in for at least a straight push down the mid here, and even Say Meow getting in a lot of the damage here. The full barrage also being laid out here by So Useless, always at the nick of time. I think they still have the death timers up here. In just a few more minutes, they should be up. The minions should still be favoring Belarus right now, so they still have that time. But what is the thing here, right? Like Croatia again, 2 Enhanced Lord, they have defended it up against Belarus.
Technically, though, man, it's just Belarus just going in straight for a very aggressive play right there without respecting the damage potential from Croatia. Every single time they've been able to actually get an advantage, it's due to the positioning. It's due to how they were able to set up for the fights before it even happens. And they've always been able to at least zone out or completely delete So Useless or Die or Die in the beginning of the fight. And they've never been allowing Ivona to actually get in and do her damage on the right targets, right? She's forced to use all that damage onto the frontliners. But in that base fight, they just went all in, which allows the backliners to be a lot more vulnerable. And Croatia just capitalized on it. Now without base turrets still, Belarus in theory should be able to get this without any problem at all. But who knows, right? With the wave still pushing already, I think Croatia will be forced to send someone up top. And while that happens, Belarus will be able to get a free Lord here, or at least get a winning fight and punish Croatia. Afterwards, they gotta be a bit more calculated with how they walk into the base of Croatia to try and go for this end. Because if they just walk in straight up as if they were invited, I think it's not gonna be good enough. But look at Say Meow.
Okay, I think they're not gonna go for... Oh, wow, they missed out that penalty zone. That would have been a game changer, especially for the Lord. And now the Turizla gonna be punished here by Die or by the full barrage being laid out here as well. As Myers gonna be standing in the middle of everything, circling Eel to take her down. 2 members for the price of 1. 70 seconds is our death timer, Arashi. I think we're gonna be seeing a 30-minute game here. What an opener here for the women's division. They're still gonna go for it right now. I think they're confident to take this one even without the numbers advantage. But Croatia, they know for a fact that the death timers are pretty long here for the damage dealers. And that's going to be a big thing here, right? The damage dealers are out. They're going to try to make in a surprise play here. The Loyi and Relax Eye Mommy, So Useless. Unfortunately, getting caught by surprise here by the Belarus team. And that's what they needed to start up this Lord. Apart from that, the minion waves have been in their favor after all. It has been flowing all the way to the side of Croatia's face. And now this is going to be the 4th Enhanced Lord for Belarus, if ever. Or rather, this could be the 6th one in total for this entirety of the game. Man, how long can this go on? Let's see. I think it's going to be hard to defend up against this one, Arashi. An Enhanced Lord 28 minutes in. This is way too much. You don't have any more inhibitor turrets left. Not unless, again, we will see a miracle play happening in the base of Croatia. It's going to be Belarus once again picking up this Enhanced Lord of the game.
And again, with that Lord, I'm really hoping that they go for a proper three-wave push, and on top of that, I want to make sure that they force Croatia to use some of their spells on the minion waves, on the Lord first, and then go in for the punish. Because if they just go all out, of course the Lord is spared from all that damage, but at the same time, if they get taken out right here, the death timers are going to be approaching 70 seconds. It's going to be a long death timer. And look at the situation right here. The Lord is left alone, unescorted. It seems like it's a diversion play attempt, but it's visible. And immediately stalled.
Full barrage by So Useless. The Lord is still up. It's beautifully laid out. Succubus, a double kill being picked up here by Dai or by. And so far, throughout this game, it has been Dai. They haven't been able to end this one. The Lord has been melted down here as well. There's the super minions coming in. They do have the Loi here for the pokes. Everybody's a bit low here, but it's going to be the full members here of Croatia. And again, the Loi going to get taken in by the I Am Offended. Gets instantly bursted down by Ivona. And down they go. Double kill being picked up. What am I watching, Arashi? A 30 and almost 30-minute game. And they get a four members down for the side of Belarus. How can they keep doing this?
Man, what? That was such a catastrophic result for that play. They grouped up for the diversion, but they made the diversion in plain sight. Right? Croatia, with all the combos, saw it being channeled and immediately punished it. They lost the Loi immediately as they arrived. Now 1v5 with the death timer so spread far apart. Croatia, they can end it right here, right now.
Okay, Myers is up here. Minion waves are flowing in as well. Speed or Feed has the immortality. I think they will force this out. Myers, whoa! The damage! She's gonna get caught in between everything but the penalty zone. Unfortunately, there's still no follow-up. The dead timers are real here. The full barrage, the I Am Offended, all of them getting caught in between. Beautifully executed combo. Wait, hold on. There's also some minion waves coming in on the top side to the base of Croatia. Now this is the biggest question. Somebody has to be sent back here. They're gonna push this out for sure. I'm offended once again.
Oh.
What? This respawn? What is happening here? They're gonna force this for sure. They're gonna force this in. It's gonna be Samiao and Relax, I'm Mommy. They have to defend this one, but the minion waves are coming in. Are they going to try to push for it? Ivona locking in the base. There's not enough minion waves just yet. A futile attempt from the side of Croatia. What? The first game is going to be 31 minutes in. And these teams, they still have to play a whole lot more games. Croatia, I think they have their stamina ready for all these two series that they're going to be playing today. And they have to defend, or they have to go up against this team first. And they're going to be locking in the base finally as the minion waves crash in. It's going to be Croatia turning the game around after 31 minutes. Arashi, I think we were not expecting that because we've seen 15 or less for the past 3 days, and this was the first time we opened up the female division with a 31-minute match and a comeback match at that.
I'm speechless, man. What do you say to a game like that? It was going,
I don't know,
back and forth, of course, but there were a lot of questionable plays, man. I have to say it, you know.
Right.
I ain't saying that there weren't great plays being made and, you know, there weren't great hype moments, but there were some moments that just got you scratching your head. Like, some of these decisions came out of nowhere. I think with the way Belarus was winning, with all the macro pressure they had, I'm very surprised that they weren't using a lot of macro strategy, right? We didn't see a lot of different shortcut plays, different diversion plays. On occasion, you do see the plays happen. And on the flip side, for Croatia, despite having all of this crowd control to stop the dive, to stop the aggression and protect the backline, sometimes their backline moves forward, sometimes the crowd control is used aggressively instead of defensively. And it just seems so chaotic every single time. I mean, come on. Very earlier on, I feel like we're going to see it later in the highlights, but Croatia lost all 3 base turrets already. On a macro level, 3 base turrets, plus the Loi, plus the shortcut. How in the world did Croatia find a way to get back into it? And of course, steals do happen. Lords falling to the opponents is a thing, but how they kind of recovered from it, even here, they just kept going for more fights to try and, I don't know, like force a comeback by brute force. And looking at the way the fight went, right? The fact that they just go for an all-in right here, and even the timing of the spells. We're even highlighting the fact that there's an Eternal Guard, an I'm Offended, the Empowered Chain as well. We didn't see it comboed a single time, by the way. Everything is always used sporadically, bit by bit. And maybe it's part of the strategy from Croatia to kind of confuse Belarus, to discourage them from going all in immediately. But man, there was just so much chaos, and towards the end of that game, it was such a long game that I've been talking about it so far. It's still only at 7 minutes in the highlights, man. That's just how many moments are available. This play right here, though, they just did not respect the crowd control. We did mention that in the base, a team like this with great combo, great crowd control, and great front to back, this is where they want to be, right? With their backs against the base, with safety provided by that, right? Security, knowing that no one will come up from behind them and harm the Ixia and harm the Vexana. And even in that situation, Belarus was like, you know what? I think we're good enough, and just jump straight in, man. I think it's definitely back to the drawing board for both these teams going into the next game. But before that, Kim, I think we're going to go and take a bit of a break because there was so much action in that game, man. Woo! Woo!
Yeah, we're just going to take a short break, guys. Don't you guys go away. We're going to be back with more of the matches. That was a long one, but this break won't be that long. So see you guys for the next game. Stay tuned here at IESF for the Women's Division of Europe.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the IESF Europe Regional Qualifier in the ladies scene. And so far, game one has elapsed between Belarus and Croatia in a roller coaster of a game, man. Whatever, I mean, you name it. Whatever you think is gonna happen in the game, you name it, man. Comebacks, big team fights, big pickoffs. Everything in the book was displayed in game number one, which is why it was an absolutely long game, a hard-earned victory in the end for Croatia, a team that was on the back foot from the mid-game, who lost 3 base turrets, but they persevered, man. They know that they have great late game. They played the defensive game in their own base, and eventually Belarus just slipped up, and with the long death timers, Croatia were able to isolate them one by one, able to cycle the death timer so that everyone isn't available up in the line of dawn in the same time. So it's always a 2v5, a 3v5 again and again. And they get the victory against everyone's expectations. I don't think, I dare say the players of Croatia themselves at some point must be like, dang, 3 base turrets down. It was like, what, the 4th or 5th Lord at that point? It's gonna be too difficult. There's no way we can do this. But they did. So, Kim, weigh in on this, man. How you feel?
I mean, I gotta share with you guys like this old ancient proverb that is well known here in the Philippines, and I'm gonna say it in Tagalog first, and I'm gonna translate it for all of you guys to understand. It's hanggang may tore, may pag-asa pa. So in English, it means as long as you have your base turret, there's always hope. It makes sense, right? It makes sense for the first game. The turret was still up. As long as it was not down, there was still hope for Croatia. And yeah, there's this other quote I'd personally like to quote Coach Master the Basics from Blacklist International. He's like, let me take you through all of the right decisions we made and all of the wrong decisions we made. And man, that was a lot of good and bad decisions that were made in that entirety of the first game. But we gotta wipe that clean. Let's go on to a clean slate. We're off to the next game here between Croatia and Belarus. It's gonna be Croatia this time on the blue side. The ZAS now finally taken out was a bit of a problem also when it comes to the sustainability, especially in the early to mid game, right? Like you notice Meyer's ZAS was completely untouchable. So it was a problem also in the team fights, which kind of really you can't it's very, I would say, something that is overlooked in team fights, right? Like you don't know if the Dominators descent this up, and then you see like, wow, my HP bars are slowly going down, and it's all care of either the Nightmaric spawns or the Dominators descent. So I think Croatia respect ban coming through, even though they can actually first pick that. So now, with this being said, the Zas, the Hayabusa, and the Hellcrit being taken out, Belarus still gonna be the same. But immediately, yeah, I was gonna just say the Roger was up for the taking, and I think there it's no stranger to all of us here in the IESF European
Nope.
Regional Qualifiers. It is going to be a priority both in the male and the female division. Croatia's going to be starting that up, but some things have been left open here as well. The Zushin now being picked up here by Belarus. They can also go for Terizla here. Or the chip that is actually still open as well, but this time they go for something different, right? More sustainability, also denying the fact that Croatia can pick up this Roger Angela combo that can really be deadly.
Ooh, well, you said it, Kim. Decisions, right, is important right here. Do they want to go with a similar story? Because if you think about it, when it comes down to the early to mid to even late game for Croatia, they went for this big team fight composition, but they weren't able to actually capitalize on those big team fights because Belarus was able to actually maneuver around the bulk of their crowd control. So now, do they want to go for something similar, or do they want to amend their composition? That's a big decision, right? And we've seen, I mean, in game number one of the decisions of all time, man. There were definitely decisions made in that game. But for now, the fact that they left open the Roger and they were respecting the Julian as well, by the way. Seems like for Belarus, they really felt the threat of that instant burst from Ivona. For now, though, with the Jushin, with the Alpha and Angela, though, man, if the hard guard gets put in the Alpha, that's going to be a lot of sustain. But it's also up against equally high amounts of sustain for Croatia. We have to wait and see, though, if this Roger is going to go into the jungle or the gold lane. Because depending on how that goes, right? If Croatia wants to go for the same teamfight style, I think the Roger doesn't really have that much, that much teamfight prowess if you compare it to the Ixia that they had in game number one. So if this is a jungle Roger, I feel like that would make a bit more sense. And it's a great pick to really match the clearing speed of the Alpha to make sure that you're on curve, on level, to contest those neutral objectives.
I like the adjustments that Croatia made here as well, right? Like I think they might have had the Angela, right? But since they were on the blue side, this is the best that they can do. I guess they also anticipated that the Angela might have been a pick here for Belarus. They go in for the Florian here. I would say very good when it comes to the team fights. Like it's everybody can have that global heal, whereas the Angela you can have like only one player that you can attach to, right? But it could be a game changing factor, especially when it comes to team fights that you guys are if you guys are on the in the lead, then definitely that could be something that can change the tempo of the game. So with the roamers being picked up here for both sides, again, it might still, oh actually no, it's going to be the roamers already solidified for both sides. So again, it is still going to be that last pick, perhaps gold laner here for Belarus. They really love to leave that last in or for the second phase of the draft. For Croatia as well, they still need that mid laner. I guess heroes like the Valentina that the teams also in the male division love is still up. Up against the Zushin though. I guess that could be an option, or perhaps maybe Savior, Lilia. These are the things that maybe Croatia should kind of pick up here in the second phase of the draft.
And Belarus being respectful of the mid-range AoE crowd control tools like the Loyi and the Savior here, considering that they want to be the ones moving forward, diving in and dominating that mid-range engagement. The combo between the Angela and the Tsushin, I think it gives them a lot of wave clear. It gives them a lot of spammability when it comes to their spells as well in the small skirmishes around the mid lane. But in the grand scheme of things, especially in the mid game, usually we see against a Roger, you want to have some kind of front line to withstand the aggression. Because if you get just even a bit too low, that's where the Roger comes in and just takes you out completely. And with an Alpha, Angela, and Sushin, it feels like it's a bit squishier compared to a Croatia. So I feel like there's a bit of concern there in how they want to take these skirmishes. Because with the Sushin, right, you're not the kind of hero that wants to just farm up and wait for the late game. You want to be active all the way from the beginning. And now with the Gatot Kacha as well, with the right items, man, that ultimate from the Gatot Kacha can just one-shot a squishy backline, either the mid lane or the gold laner. And maybe because of all these big dive tools, maybe now Croatia might consider shifting this Roger off to the gold lane from the jungle position.
Wondering how this will be pulled off, right? Like the Gatot Kacha has been used, but wow, Esmeralda. Okay, this could benefit, of course, from the shields of the Angel as well as
Mm-hmm.
the tankiness here of the Gatot Kacha. I haven't seen this used so much, of course, in the XP lane matchup. I'm thinking that this Gatot Kacha more or less is going to be the XP laner here that will go up against this Esmeralda. They lock in the Vexana of Direby, which I would say had a spectacular performance in game number one, stealing away the Lord, also poking the heck out of Belarus. And with all of these beefy frontline too, they need someone to kind of shred or peel apart the lineup here of Croatia. They lock in the carry here. I'm just not so sure because they're playing with an Angela Rome, right? And the Gatot Kacha will be more of the XP laner. I'm just worried about the execution of the avatar of the guardian as well of the Gatot Catcher, right? I would say it's pretty predictable because you get like I would say notification or a warning first before like it pops the
Right.
ultimate. Right? So it can be a bit predictable, but there are times that it can be landed when all of you guys are busy in the team fight. It can also be landed at the right time. So it really depends on the execution here of team, like a 50-50, I would say. That's why we don't really see it much in the professional scene. But then again, this might be a comfort here for the side of Belarus. So I guess that's why they're pulling this off in the match point between Croatia.
I think depends on how it's itemized as well, for sure. So, Gatot is it going to be a full tank Gatot? Is it going to be a hybrid, a bit of mixed damage Gatot? We have to wait and see. If you're concerned about the landing of the Avatar of the Guardian, I think it can be comboed still with the Tsushin is an obvious solution. They try and get out of it, you throw them back in, Avatar of the Guardian lands, and that'll be the end of it. So there are ways definitely for this composition to work. And technically, I do feel when it comes to skirmishes, there's going to be a lot more aggression being shown by Belarus. But again, they just have to be a bit more careful because hang on a minute, it's going to be an Esmeralda in the jungle right here. So now it's a bit
Oh.
different, right? Technically, if both junglers kind of go for a fist fight in the early game, it's a bit equal because both has a very good amount of sustain. But I do feel like the alpha has a more threat and more AoE technically if the skirmishes do get up close and personal.
I think that this is a switch up that they might have made, of course, in the latter phase of the draft, right? Knowing how the overall picture would have looked like here for Belarus, Croatia immediately adapted. I think they were also flexing the Roger first. I think that's the reason why also the Roger is being prioritized here by the European teams, right? It can be in the gold, and at times can be in the jungler. Great amount of pokes as well, not as good as it was before, but still pretty much viable in the lane. 3-man rotation here for Croatia on this side. You got the Zushin here as well, tugging everybody in. Relax, and Mommy does not have the level 4 power spike. Ivona has that level 4 though. Gets spotted out here. So with the shields, I don't think they're
Oh.
they're going to be able to get the Scuttler Crab here against Ivona. But level 4 has been reached here by both sides. A lot of pressure, a lot of domination has been seen, and I would say intimidation from both sides. But no first blood yet in this game. Almost 2 minutes in.
If you look at the emblems here, Myers is going for the weakness finder as well, so that's a more aggressive emblem choice. Usually you're seeing a bit of a quantum charge or even the brace might, depending on how you really want to
Oh, yeah.
play out the lane. But I guess she's feeling quite confident. Now Belarus once again making the first move towards the turtle, but ooh, look at this in the bottom side.
The Gatot Kacha. There's gonna go the Avatar of the Guardian onto Ivona. They're gonna trade it off with the Turtle. Succubus going in for the I'm Offended. Flicker out here for say Meow. But that's gonna be the
Ooh.
burst! Landed in! Picking up a double here for Belarus from the Zushin. And that's the beauty of it, right? Arashi, the Zushin. You just think it lands in the skills there. She looks so calm and cool. They're just popping in her lantern. But she can actually dish out that amount of bursts, and with the right amount of support that she got from her team earlier, sustain coming out from the Angela, and the setup there from the Gatot Kacha was enough to burst down the members there of Croatia.
When the God of Kacha just, popped the ultimate in place technically. I think the big swing in that fight was the arrival of Relax I'm Mommy from the jungle, man. She just came in like a wrecking ball, quite literally, and demolished everyone. That's why against a composition like this with all the AoE, you gotta be careful and pay attention to your spacing. If you get a bit too close, there's so much combos available, and that same thing can be said for the side of Croatia as well. Both teams should have a lot of big combos to play around with. So this makes the team fighting a bit more equal, which is why you're seeing a lot of the difference being made in the speed of rotation, being made in the mind games and how they're playing around these bushes and pockets of vision. For the side of Belarus, though, the fact that they have the Angela as well means that they have more layers to play around with. Whereas for Croatia, it's just a straightforward approach. Look at this, though.
Yep, the Spear of Alpha. Relax, I'm Mommy. Relax for now for speed or feed. She pops in the global heal, the blooms, and at the same time, die or buy. Woohoo! A little bit of a detour there, but it gets tugged right in.
Oh.
Die or buy. This time it's gonna be die. And that's going to be a killing spree picked up here by the Zushin. Flicker out as well for Say Meow. And there goes the
Oh.
retaliation for Mommy. I'm still not done with you. And they get in 2 kills right there and then. Just a wrong U-turn there for Croatia. And they head straight for this turtle. Succubus is there as well. But, you know, without the team,
Oh.
it's not going to be anything in as, wow, Speed or Feed just respawn. Not yet feed at this point, right? But it's still going to be the Zushin picking up all 4 kills actually, with 1 assist here and 100% kill participation in the first few minutes of the match. And now Succubus might be in trouble here. He's going to be able to get in the
Almost.
minion waves. Yep. She does spot out the other members, so she's not going to commit for more. Because so far, Belarus is leading. A 15k gold lead for them.
And I was a bit concerned about Belarus and the fact that they lost in such a comeback fashion, but it seems like it motivates them even more, man. They are back with a vengeance at every single turn. Well, they have a vengeance literally in the hands of the Garot Kacha, but what I mean is they're just going aggressive again and again, and they are not allowing Croatia to have any grasp in the game. Unfortunately, though, for us commenting on it, this is a bit reminiscent of the first game, right? Because they were also controlling the early game so well. What they need to do is ensure that they don't make any slip-ups whatsoever and maintain the discipline to ensure that Croatia, with, again, the great amounts of late-game pressure, the Florin with the massive amounts of healing, the Ruby, the Esmeralda, the Vexana, these are all heroes that can make great use of item power spikes in the late game. So they got to be careful and, if possible, just shut down this game completely and end it quick. If they can do so, you know, the longer they draw out the game, the more chance there is for the game to go south, like we saw in game number 1.
Yeah, overextended team fights and the point that everybody gets in all of their items. Level ahead, though, here for Relax and Mommy. All care of the 2 turtles that they've taken in here for their side. Although Ivona has been catching up by farming well here. She has faced in 2 deaths as well in this game. So I think they have to be a little bit wary as well of the setups, of the plays that Belarus has been making, and the Zushin here that has been such a menace here to Croatia. They're going to be starting it up here right now. It's going to be the last and final turtle. There's going to be the setup here from the Garatacha, as well as Relax and Mommy coming right in. Speed or Feed going to be first one to go. They don't have the heals right now, as Ivona going to be taken down there by the Spear of Alpha. They get tugged in here as well by the Crimson Bee. Gonna flicker out here from Succubus. She's really low and still unstoppable at this point. Die or buy, forced to back away right now, and Belarus once again gets their foothold on this turtle pit.
Already with the Sea Halberd here, Relax I'm Mommy, not relaxing at all. Obscene amounts of damage coming out from this alpha and immediately translated into the mid turret as well. Things are going great for them. They have to just make sure that they plan this out, right? They have all these great fighting tools. They can keep going for these fights still, but later on, once it becomes a base defense situation for the side of Croatia, they have to plan out how they want to fight later on, right? With the Lord, with the waves, how they want to do it. I think it's important that they plan it out from now. But still, they're doing a great job just using all the early game pressure, the hard guard combo. We saw that Croatia were denying a lot of these strong Angela combos, like the Yu Song, for instance. But this Alpha is just so much more menacing because technically he does it all, right? AoE, damage, true damage even, and a great amount of sustain as well. Even Ivona, that's supposedly going to be a bit more tanky, can completely burst it down as well. So this means that if both teams are just dancing around the neutral objective, Belarus has a way to just go in and burst someone down.
Oh man, so useless. A little bit. Struggling with the carry there. The speedy light was just too much, and even Ivona gets bursted down right in an instant. And now with the follow-up here from the Zeusin speed or feed, gonna get in the burning damage from the glowing wand there. The Crimson Beacon is so hard, right? Like you get tugged in. It's like the skill 2 of the Faramis, right? And it's an immediate initiation here for the side of Belarus. And the thing here, again, the question remains for Belarus. Can they end the game this time, right? And even some of the top teams, top MLBB teams, they have faced this struggle. They have faced this problem even. How do they end the game? Because they started it out strong, and you can see it right now. 9 minutes in, they've already secured in 10 kills, and all of the turtles with 3 turrets to boot. So now how do they close out the game? I believe like we'll have to find that out. And so far they've been doing so well in the macro play, possibly taking in this last turret as well.
And technically, if you want to talk about that, they're also doing a lot better, a lot cleaner plays compared to game number 1. So I think it's a step in the right direction. And possibly that double macro combo, the Lo Yi and the Chip, might have really forced them to overthink their movements around the map, right? With the big diversion play they attempted. So now with this more straightforward approach, it might really benefit them. And now look at this play on the turret, man. That's a lot of damage.
Oh, there goes the ultimate as well, being popped in by the Zushin, and the Spear of the Alpha, still unstoppable at this point, and even under their own turrets, with the Eternal Guard, they are not able to stop out Belarus. The heals aren't enough at this point, right? Because the usual target is speed or feed. And at this point, they are doing their very best to just take him down so they don't have that global heal. Soyusa's trying to retaliate here, but this might just be his demise. He's going to be able to escape with a slither of health. The Lord is also marching in on the top side, and this time I like the decision makings. It's a little bit more disciplined this time for Belarus. They slowly take in the second tier towers here of this game. 12 kills for their side this time, and let's see if they can take down at least like some inhibitors or create out some pressure here up against Croatia.
Especially with the Lord right here, they don't have to force anything, right? They can just push and protect the Lord and make it costly for Croatia to defend against it. Now already, the Lord is going to be cleared out. It is the first Lord after all. But look at this, Belarus. Very eager to try and do a bit more damage, but they're backing away. Going for the more disciplined option. They know they don't have to risk anything too much right now. They're already approaching a 10k gold lead though, but it's easier to get the gold lead compared to maintaining it. And to quote Mirko, right, he always says it's not about how you start, it's about how you finish. And I think in Mobile Legends, that's a very good saying that can be used in tandem with the whole "it's never over until it's over" when the base, as long as your base turret still stands. So look at Belarus now. It's moving into the jungle, clearing everything, making sure that they don't leave any opportunities left for Croatia. And looking at from the looks of it, with the opportunities available, they're going to be able to actually push the top side and make it difficult for Croatia to try and go for the neutral objective next. Even if you want to take Sushin and Relax Imami on the Alpha out of the equation, Myers has been aggressive in that gold lane, not really deterred at all, actually winning in gold even over the Roger. So that's still another problem later on, even if they're able to deal with the Sushin and Alpha.
I think there's a term for that, Arashi. I'm not so sure if it's also the same taunt that you get in Indonesia if you started out real strong, but either you fail to close out the game, right? But hold that thought. We're gonna have to go into this right now. They want to close out the game as early as possible. There goes the Eternal Guard. Ivona in the center of everything gets the avatar of the Guardian, and this is a signal for Belarus to go. Myers on the backside just free hitting everybody as they get taken down. So useless. It's gonna be just 2 members left here for the side of Croatia. A 10k lead for the Belarus team, and they head straight to the Lord. So this is what I was talking about, Arashi. I'm curious if it is the same thing or if it's a universal term for everybody if you start out strong but can't close out the game, or if you still lose the game. They call it intro. Like you're such an intro. Yeah, or
Oh, like
introduction. Like
introvert.
you're only no. It's not introvert. It's like
Oh, I see.
introduction. You're good with introductions, but you just can't. Or if you've heard this, but you're just good at the start. Let's say you're good at the talking phase, but you can't actually get
Huh?
the girl. So something like that. Like
You
those
just
kind of
can't seal
thoughts.
the deal. You can close.
I can't close the deal, or like I think in terms of like dating, you can't get the girl or something like that. It's just
I
it
see.
hurts. It hurts, and
Interesting. Interesting.
it's called intro here in the Philippines. So I thought it was like a universal term. It's like short for introduction. But hopefully this time the story will be different. It will no longer be an introduction for Belarus. This time they will close out the game, hopefully, because they have this Lord. It's knocking in the base here of Croatia. And I think this time, Arashi, they're playing a little bit more disciplined, right? That's something that teams usually lack, especially in a high pressure or a high momentum game, such as this one, right? They can't really afford to make the
Ooh.
mistakes, but the Gato Kacha is going to be able to sustain that one. Just dives right out, but right now the
Ooh.
Zushin is the one going to be diving right in. She's got massive amount of shields, and that's going to be the avatar of the Guardian landing all the way in, tanking up the tower, and with the hard guard they're able to sustain, but they're deep into enemy space. Can they actually make this 4v2 situation? It's going to be Speed Rafi, the first one down, and now Relax. I'm Mommy going to get shut down there by So Useless. Again, a lot of these confident plays coming through. 2 for the price of 2, but the shutdown was made here. Finally, on to Relax I'm Mommy. So is it worth it, Arashi? The gold lead right now, it's still pretty much like a 9k lead. So I think they were willing to do those ties, but this time it's a little bit more cleaner, right? Like they were trying to go for the wipeout. But then again, the possibility for Croatia has always been there because they got the I am offended to set things up.
I feel like it was fine, but I really felt like it could have been cleaner, right? They've been able to play this whole game without giving Croatia any kills at all, and they just given away the shutdown. They really could have maybe forced a fight with the Lord, right? Having an extra body to tank some damage, having an extra someone to be hitting the turrets as you kind of zone away the rest of your opponent's team. Imagine if Belarus made that play with the Lord, the Sushin coming in, zoning everyone away, then the Lord would have taken the turret a lot easier. I mean, the Lord was left to go 1v2 against the Esmeralda and the Florian, I believe. No, Esmeralda and the Roger in the top side. And even then, it was able to get the base turret almost down to 0, which is why earlier Myers was able to brute force it and hit the turret through the no minion protection. So it's still good by all means. A base turret means more macro pressure, and they do have the Gatot Kacha for long distance playmaking. But for Belarus, they gotta stop making those crazy risky plays, because if they do that in a more calculated fashion, in the right moment, maybe let's say here when Croatia is far away, then maybe we can get something.
They're gonna start it up with Ivona, and again the avatar of the Guardian. It lands right in. They were way too busy to try and take them down, and now So Useless and Speed for feed. It's gonna get sandwiched in between Belarus. It's a triple for Relax I'm Mommy. I think she's gonna go for the Maniac. Will she actually make it? And you're gonna get the I'm offended.
Oh!
And right now with the hard card, she's able to survive. No, not for long. It gets the shutdown here. And now with only Succubus left to defend the base, they're going to force this one in. They got a couple minions coming through. Are they going to go for the finish here? They can. Succubus doing her very best. She's got the immortality. I don't think they want to risk it this time for the side of Belarus. They said, nah, Succubus just has such good playmaking powers here with the I am offended, and it's going to be a little bit too risky here. So they're just going to go in the safer route. Wait for Relax and Mommy to come back into the match and go straight for that Lord.
I feel like there was a chance to maybe even they can at least do a bit more damage or deter Succubus from actually clearing the wave right there, force her to use the spells on the minion wave and then pick her off. Now they've kind of given enough time for Croatia to recover. In the grand scheme of things, they didn't take an extra base turret there either. The wave in the bottom side now is pushing. Ivona is going to push it even more. And Belarus, from being in a position to just go for the Lord, now they're once again stuck in something more of a 50-50, as there's going to be a 1v1 in the bottom side. But I guess Say Meow won't be dove on by Ivona just yet.
Oh, that's going to be a turret traded. So with Ivona on the bottom side, it's kind of like a nod that Croatia just wants to just give out that Lord and just push out the turrets because they haven't taken down a single one. So that was the first one actually taken down by Croatia. So I think they just want to go for trades at this point across the map. But the Lord, for the price of a turret, their base is also exposed. So the Lord's gonna be marching in on the top side. So I think Croatia just gonna have to defend up against this one. They've defended up against 4 waves of enhanced lords earlier in game number 1. So I think this time, let's see if it's going to be the same storyline here. Immortalities have been purchased here by most of the team members from both Croatia and Belarus. Let's see if this will give them a fighting chance in the team fight. Here comes the Lord Arashi.
Eternal Guard already down as well. Look at the ulti though. Kacha not landing.
It is not going to hit, but right now the Lord gets tugged in there by the I Am Offended, as well as the Terrify coming through from Dai or Bai. The shutdown is here for the Zushin. And now there's going to be Relax I Am Mummy going to be down as well. That's a double kill picked up here by Ivona. And now the rest of the team is going to be backing away. Bottom side going to get cleared out as well. It is just going to be one inhibitor left here for the side of Croatia, but they're still standing. The resiliency of this team, I just can't believe it. You know what I noticed here, Arashi? Dire Bai just has perfect timing here. Like with the Terrify and the Eternal Guard, it always almost immediately catches Belarus off guard.
And she's been making the plays all the way from game number 1, and it seems like she has a good grasp on the tempo of the team fight, so she knows exactly when Belarus are going to be forced to commit. And once again, now they go for the play on the long-range engagement of Kacha, but they have to set it up better. Again and again, she's been landing here without really getting a lot of value, and Myers now is starting to get zoned back away. Looking at the gold difference, it's still it was a 10k gold difference.
Yeah.
Now it's only a 3k gold difference. Croatia looking to repeat the success they got in game number 1 right here, and it seems like they're on track to do so, because if you look at the composition from Belarus, they also have a very short range, a bit similar to game number 1.
If you think about it, right, the late game should favor the gold laner here of Belarus. You're talking about the carry in the late game, so this has the items. She has everything that she needs, but it seems like Croatia has this timer or this button that once it reaches like the 20-minute mark, Arashi, I don't know if you've seen it, the 20-minute mark, it just kind of swings to their side, or Belarus has been making, repeated mistakes or moves. But right now they're going to start up with this one. Let's see. It is going to be the hard guard on to Relax and Mummy and the Avatar of the Guardian as well. The enhance, the ultimate rather coming right through. It's going to be Seiya Meow going to be taking down 1. Make that 2 for the side of Croatia. 3 members down. And again, they will have the pick of the litter here for the Lord, not unless Ivona will try to contest, but then again, their base is exposed, so it's going to be very risky here. But with the amount of shields that she's taken in, she's going to be able to just sustain. Look at that. She's able to sustain all of that, but not for long. Up against 3, she was able to take down Relax I'm Mommy, but now with both of the junglers down, they can create some pressure here for Belarus. They have the numbers advantage. So again, they can go the route of the Lord, and without Ivona being a threat here, they should be able to go for a quick Lord here, knowing that they got Myers here on the carry.
I guess that's one of the big main differences they have here, is they do have a quote-unquote late-game carry. On the bright side, though, Croatia also hasn't been that great in zoning her away. One of the biggest weaknesses of a carry is the fact that she has relatively short range, great mobility, but usually if a team can kind of save one big ultimate to ensure that there's never a safe time for the carry to move forward, you're seeing that being one of the main ways to deal with it. But consider that Myers doesn't have a Purify either, by the way, means that later on in those big fights, they're just a lot more vulnerable to getting comboed. And combos are available still. Falling Star Moon, I'm Offended, and the Eternal Guard as always. It's still all there. So now with Belarus backing away after getting that Lord, now, again, find a way to approach this fight from different angles and don't clump up. Force those ultimates to be used initially first and then re-engage. But once again, they're pushing as fast as possible, but the timing ain't quite right. The Lord already down to half HP. Seems like Belarus won't be able to get the maximum value from it.
Yeah, I think the minion waves crashed in a little bit too late here, even for the sides. They could actually capitalize since like both the top
Oh,
and bottom side are actually down, but now the team fight flicker out there from Myers, not gonna be able to survive the like and pounce from the Roger. Ivona gonna be tanking everything up. Everybody gonna be backing away. Relax, I'm mommy gonna get in the hard guard, and now they got Otkacha gets the immortality down and gonna be able to survive with the flash of the Oasis. The shields are still up. They're still up in this game. And look at the turret on the mid side, just 1 HP. It should be taken down here. And that is going to be an exposed base here for Croatia. They got the Eternal Guard landing in here. It's creating a massive amount of damage here. The Roger might actually go for a little bit more. Like and pounce in. Can't be too overconfident there. But look at the damage, though, coming out from die or buy. So I think for Croatia, they're just banking in on these factors. 23 minutes in, I think they know this game all too well. This has been the same case as well. And with the next Lord, if Belarus gets it once again, I'm gonna lose my mind here. Like, this is the exact same thing. And if they manage to defend up against it again, I don't even know what's going on here anymore. It's just, I don't know if Croatia is just so good at defending, or it's just more of like, it's my time when it comes to the 20-minute mark. It's just that.
I mean,
It seems to be that
they're
case,
good
right?
at
Like Belarus.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, they're going to be good at defending again and again, but at the same time, right? I feel like the way they're playing this is also really good because they're making full use of the long-range crowd control tools. You saw like the Terrify from Die or Buy comboed sometimes with the stun seed from Speed or Feed as well on the Florin. So the fact that they're able to have AoE crowd control from so far away makes it so difficult for Belarus to even kind of approach. So because they can't really fight from a mid-range situation, that's why they are forced to go in deeper to go for an all-in. But if they do so, that's where the Ruby comes in, right? So technically there are several layers available for Croatia, but look at Hayamami.
Okay, relax. I'm mommy. Not gonna be relaxing right now because that is a whole lot of damage coming through from the side of Croatia. Ivona's gonna get bursted down. Avatar of the Guardian in. Myers gonna be able to free hit everyone. And look at the damage from Zai or Bai. And now they're in it, backing away to the base. So useless. Now as well, going in for the I am offended play here for Succubus. 4v2 situation. They have the minion waves crashing on the south side. Will this be finally the game that they can close out? The death timers are 50 seconds, so they can definitely pressure the side of Croatia. Succubus, die or buy. This is going to be the deciding matchup for this game. Goes in for the I am offended once again here for Succubus, and now Myers going to try to go in for the final push. He gets the hard guard here, but without any minions, they cannot push right in. Succubus again with the clutch I am offended saves the day. And now Belarus has no choice but to go back to the Lord once again. It is Sunday after all.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are in for a long-term investment, man. Belarus forced again on the Lord, forced to try again one more time. It was looking so close, but unfortunately, not enough. And now for Croatia, it's almost like they're comfortable being in this situation, man. They know what it's like. And if this is the playstyle that they're just used to, right? Just persevere and wait patiently until the late game to mount a full force comeback. This is wild. All things considered, I believe they were on a gold advantage already earlier. Now with the Lord once more, there's another chance for Belarus to try and make a play with this Lord. I feel like the way to go right now is to just make sure that the waves all connect together, and then make sure that you send Myers in to shred the first target in the front immediately. And then if there's any kind of opposition coming in, that's where you want to use the Spear of Alpha. That's where you want to use the Avatar of the Guardian to try and deter the members of Croatia from being able to punish Myers for the short range. The Lord comes in right here though, and it doesn't seem like it's a three-wave push from Belarus.
Okay, there's gonna be the Avatar of the Guardian landing right in. Relax, I'm mommy. Gonna try to go in for the Spear of the Alpha, but gets stuck in there by Succubus. The I am offended straight into the base. The Lord is has 1/4 HP. Myers will lock in the base, and they're gonna force a game number 3. They finally close it out.
That was looking sketchy for just a small moment,
bit.
man.
For
We
a
saw
bit.
the big ammo offended on what, 3 people? The players are
3.
definitely still coming out of Croatia, but wow, man, finally, Belarus with the decisive approach I think in the first game they were going for those fights first and then trying to end it. Right there, they decided like, man, screw the fight, right? Bring the Lord in to help us push, and you have to pick between clearing the Lord or dealing with us. Either way, everyone just jumps straight onto the crystal and seals the deal before Croatia can prolong it any longer. It was once again a very back and forth situation, and I guess Croatia is just really making a statement that we are really good at defending, right? And I guess for Belarus, this shows their adaptation. They still have that strong brawling prowess in the early game, especially with the Alpha and the Sushin. But when it comes to that late game, they have the carry to actually supplement that damage, and they just know when to actually make the calls to really go for the objectives or go for the fights. And there were still, of course, some moments where I really felt like it was kind of too aggressive, kind of forced. But overall, for Belarus, this has to be a moment of relief. They finally got it done, and they've proven that the defense, the fortress of Croatia, can be broken through eventually with the right composition, with the right strategy. It is not immune or impregnable.
Oh yeah. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be your next blockbuster film. If you got the Avengers, I think you got a different version here. It's the Defenders for Croatia. Honest, the Defenders. I know. There's a similar superhero movie, but it's a mini series. So Defenders. I mean Croatia. Come on, that's like
Oh,
4 enhanced lords. I mean, if you total it all, that's 4 lords for the first game, and then you got what 3 or 4 lords here. That's like 7 to 8 lords in total that they defended up against Belarus in for the past 2 matches. Honestly, that is insane. That's insane for me. And Arashi, we're going into 3 games, and Croatia is playing a back-to-back. Okay, they're playing a back-to-back.
yeah.
I don't know what to say.
I mean, if,
Hopefully, you ladies are still pumped up. You ladies are still pumped up for the next series, because you know what, me and Arashi, we need to take a quick break first, because honestly those were really long games. But of course, we were out of our breaths as well, on the edge of our seats. But hopefully you guys enjoy those 2 matches. We're gonna be having the third match in just a little bit. For now, let's take a quick break first. Don't you guys go away. IESF women's regional qualifiers for Europe, we'll be right back.
ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the IESF Europe Regional Qualifier for the Ladies Series. We're still on match number 1. It's been a long, arduous journey, but finally we have to see who comes out on top. Is it the defenders, Croatia, or will Belarus finally find, I don't know, the heavy machinery required to just break through that fortress, to break through the defenses early on? Or are we gonna have 3 full games that gets dragged on past 30 minutes? I'm still Arashi here with Burger Kim, and I think, what do you think,
Still
Kim? I
us.
mean, what do you
Still
what do you
us.
wanna add to this?
After more than an hour of 2 games. I mean, this is, I guess, a nice change of scenery as well. I mean, it's just very refreshing to get like not a clean sweep, especially in the first day of the qualifiers, right? Like we usually
Mhm.
get clean sweep in the males division, but now we're gonna be standing at the match point here between Belarus and Croatia. So, man, this is gonna. I mean, it's gonna be really frustrating to lose this one, Arashi. Like, I don't know who's gonna win this one, but whoever loses this one, I don't know if you've had those games, Arashi, like 30 to 40 plus minutes of rank game,
Mm.
then you lose, right? Like you put in all of your effort, and it's still like boom, gone, all in one fell swoop. It's gone. You lost. So this is gonna be, I would say, a very heartbreaking loss, especially right, like after playing 30 games back to back for the past 2 games that you've had in the series. So Belarus, Croatia, it's gonna be Belarus here on the blue side. So still gonna be the Zas band coming through. Zushin also a game changer. You've seen it in game number 2. So this time Croatia gonna be
Mhm.
respecting that, as well as the Julian. This time gonna be respected by Belarus. The playmaking capabilities, all of the assassins are taken out. Roger is still up for the taking here. Belarus can start up with that. It has always been a pattern, not unless they want to start it out with something different, right? I think at this point, right? Like, what can you flash out first? Not to reveal your cards too much. Oh, I was actually thinking of this for the second phase, right? Like, okay, Angela, very safe. I think it's also denying that or also kind of like anticipating that Croatia will take away the Roger, so they don't want to give in two power picks, the Angela and the Roger together. But this time, Croatia can pick up the Roger too if they're comfortable with that. But since knowing that this
Ooh.
has been one of the heroes that really helped them defend their fortress, their base, they're gonna lock in the Ruby. So this is 2 heavy CC from Croatia, a whole lot more than what they had in the past 2 games.
I mean, we saw how good the Ruby is for Croatia, right? The fact that they were always stuck in that defensive position. If they have this solid source of crowd control that can deter the dive, that can punish the dive, more importantly, it's already good to have the Ruby. Now, in addition to that, with the Minotaur as well, the only real concern is whether or not they can really go aggressively instead. And look at Belarus and the adjustments, man. They still want to go for the Angela to get the early game, but they recognize the fact that Croatia is just so reliant on that defensive style. They go with the Ixia, which I believe Croatia were the ones using in game number one to go with that long range, long distance AoE style too. And with the Carmilla, man, that's a lot of damage, and that's a kind of a difficult composition to try and win against, especially if you're just playing defensive, right? This kind of forces Croatia to try and look for something a bit more aggressive. And for Croatia themselves, man, they go for the Roger too. By all means, it can be sent into the jungle, but we've seen that in that gold lane, we saw that so useless earlier on the Roger was made to be useless by the aggression coming in from Belarus. So it's almost as if it's better off for them to bank on that late game potential coming in potentially from those comeback fights. But for Croatia, I think they're just a lot more confident in taking some of these fights, especially again with all the tools now more readily available to stop Belarus in their tracks.
Ooh, I think this Carmilla is, I would say, something to, kind of be the front line here, especially for the Ixia. I think it's a very good combination, and personally, one of my favorite heroes. I think I can go head to
Mhm.
head with all these melee heroes. I think that's something that people usually don't understand about her skill set. She's good. I would say I think she was actually made to be in the tank meta. So I'm actually really surprised that she came this later on into the meta. So I'm loving how she's rising into popularity, and I love the fact that her ultimate can also be a game changer, right? They were talking about game changing ultimates in a 30-minute game like this. Like you're talking about the I am offended, right? That these are the things that extended the game out so long. So I think with Belarus this time having something like that for this game should be much of a game changer tempo as well, because that's something that they lack, right? But whoo, destined for each other but never fated to meet. Wow, this is heartbreaking as a Carmilla main, man. Seeing them on opposing
Mhm.
sides. Okay, I get this is for bursting. Okay, the Sicilian is good high ground, especially for taking out the Ixia, right?
Yep.
Compared to like mages like the Loyi earlier that was used. Even Zas Xavier was one, but it was already in a ban list. So I think for Croatia, it's more of like, oh, or Carmilla's there. Okay, let's pick up the Sicilian. They might actually want to go for that combination too, if you think about it, right? For
Mhm.
Belarus, they still don't have the mid lane, but whoa,
Whoa.
that is also one way to go. This is a very stacked lineup. Wow, a Carmilla, you pair it with a Valentina. I mean, she can be the Sicilian if you think about it, Arashi. But
Oh
is that
man.
wait, is that the final pick of Croatia? Okay, we're talking about late game after late game, but this Hanabi, is this for real? Is this for real?
It's not impossible. I mean, there is still the possibility that it's not what it seems. We've seen that happen so far in the European regional qualifier. But both teams, you can see it immediately. Okay, 2 games all going past 30 minutes. Might as well, right? Like, what's the point of going for all these aggressive tools, the macro, the early game, the snowball? It doesn't matter. Let's just go for that late game. We know it's gonna be a back and forth anyways, and make sure that when push comes to shove, we have what it takes to really end the game from far, far away. And technically, I think the Ixia has a bit of an advantage, but she is a lot more ultimate based, whereas the Hanabi is always going to be dishing out damage. And technically, I believe the idea from Belarus is to counter whatever backline that Croatia is going to be bringing out with that Avatar of the Guardian, right? With the Gatotkacha. But now that it's a Hanabi, she can kind of negate that crowd control built into her kit. So it's still a very intelligent draft actually coming in from Croatia, even though on paper, from the looks of it, they've been playing a very straightforward style. So I think the early game will definitely favor Belarus a bit more. Croatia really seems to be all in on that. And I think the concern is whether or not Belarus can get the ball rolling fast enough to really bring all that weight to bear onto the Roger. But look at the swap, by the way. So useless in the jungle.
Ooh, so this is huge for Croatia, right? This is match point that you're talking about. After playing 3 straight games, you get in the switch. Is this a possibility that, fatigue might be a factor here, right?
Ivona's on the right position too.
Yep. So this is a massive switch, a speed or feed on the gold lane. Dairobai is the only one who remains the same. I mean, only Love and Night are everlasting after all, so she's gonna be the only one remaining in the same position. And what's interesting here too is this was season 13 in MPL Philippines that I've seen a Carmilla being used in the jungle. So usually I think she's utilized more as a roamer so far. So I haven't seen her with the shift of the meta being into like more of the jungler. So I don't really see a lot of Carmilla roams after that. But now we see an initiative being made, level 4 already available here for Alexa and Mummy. She's definitely a Mummy, I would say. My favorite hero going in for the Curse of Blood there. No follow-ups. Everybody has been linked, but look at the link coming through for the Curse of Blood. Getting the first blood here for the Valentina. And that is just the beauty of it coming through. There has to be like good follow-up, right? And the level 4 power spike is just so much easier for the Camilla because you are the jungler. You're the one taking in the resources. And after that first blood, Ivona being taken down, they go straight for this turtle. So useless is also pretty low. So will they contest for this? They do have the Ivona here though to go for the setup place, but no level 4 has been attained just yet. Oh man, this is gonna be deadly. Valentina's gotten in the Minoan's Fury as well.
Immediately, there's going to be an attempt to go and fight for it from Croatia. Belarus are way too clean with it, despite the fact that the Gatotkacha was so low there in the XP lane. They were pretty confident in making that play happen, maybe relying only on the Avatar of the Guardian for Gatotkacha's participation in that fight. All overall, though, I feel like Croatia will have a bit of an advantage when it comes to that late game. But looking at the top side here, they're still struggling to find ways to punish. Like we said earlier, Minotaur and Ruby, great card control tools defensively, but now when they're roaming around trying to get a play, trying to get a pick off, they can only rely on the chase coming in maybe from the Bat Feast of the Sicilian and the Rogers movement speed. When it comes to crowd control, it's maybe just only the Sanguine Claws from the Sicilian they can use to go for something of a pickoff.
And there goes the Bat's Feast. Relax that Mommy gonna be tanking up everything. Your Barbie tank there going all the way in. Shared damage from the Curse of Blood. Ivona gonna be soaking everything up. Has the heal and the barrage again laid out by Myers at the right time, but so useless. Gonna try to go in for the Lycan pads. A double kill picked up by Relax Time Mummy. She's gonna go for more. Gonna go for the triple. Get sandwiched in between the Sanguine Claws. But the heals are here from Meow. 3 kills again for Belarus. 3 minutes into the game. It seems like Belarus is just way too comfortable here in this early game. And I'm looking at the lineup here of Croatia. It seems like they're gearing up for a late game hard. You know what I'm saying? Sicilian and Hanabi, like, think about it, Arashi. If the same scenario happens once again here, to try and close out the game with the Sicilian and the Hanabi in the late game, it's gonna be really difficult here.
Especially a Sicilian with the temporal rain, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's a chance that he can get like every single time you use a bad impact, the damage kind of ramps up, on top of the already stacking effect that you have on the Sicilian. Subsequent bad impacts actually do a lot more damage. So the fact that you have temporal rain means that you can ramp up the damage a lot earlier in the midst of in the early stages of a fight. But yeah, we saw that the composition from Croatia is very all in on the late game, which is why Belarus has a lot more freedom to try and make plays here, especially with this Valentina, man. It's been a lot more effective so far, but now 2v4 here, Belarus is going to go for it.
Yep, Belarus gonna go in and click that retribution for the turtle. Emit the curse of blood. That's gonna be the shared damage. But everybody still gonna be able to survive. So useless again in the middle of 4 members here of Belarus. Die or buy. Gonna try to support from the back lines with the Bat's Feast. And now with everybody being peeled all the way down, top side gonna get a solo kill there. And so useless, immobilized by the puppet strings of Say Meow and gets taken down. 6 kills for the side of Belarus. Is it just me, Arashi, or it seems like Croatia is just way stronger, is literally stronger when they're in their base? Because it seems like all of these team fights that brew outside their base, the Turtle Pit, the Lord Pit, it seems like they have a difficult time trying to achieve victory there.
I feel like it's more so the fact that, of course, the base helps you a lot. You know, there's vision, there's protection from the flanks, there are turrets to help you out, but it's also Belarus that are very, I guess, impatient when it comes to base fights. When they're out here, that aggression, that aggressive nature really helps out when they're trying to chase, when they're trying to find ways to be creative in punishing Croatia for misplays around the map. But when it comes into the base, it's a whole different story. Now with the Stolen Minions Fury, though, is it going to be a play?
Yep. He has the flicker available, and there's a Minoan's Fury with the Curse of Blood. It's a killing spree for Relax and Mommy. It's Mommy Carmilla gonna go in to save the day. Speed or feed. Gonna be backing away from this one right now, benefiting as well from the shields here. But it is just gonna buy them a little bit more time. The turret goes down here, so useless. In it for a run.
Ooh.
Gonna go in for the Lycan Pals for the retaliation, but gets bursted down here by Myers. Belarus, 8 kills to boot. That was beautiful. You get a Minoan's Fury, and then you combine it with the Curse of Blood, and then you land in that full barrage. It's just so beautiful to watch. The combinations are so on point. And now Croatia, they're just struggling to find an opening. I think the best thing that they're doing right now in the team fights is just poking right now. It might feel like a tickle as of the moment, but if the game reaches perhaps like more than 20 minutes, you're gonna start to feel that tickle to be more of like a prick already. It's gonna start to hurt. It's gonna start to burn. But now Belarus is just gonna take in what they do best. Take in the early game, get in all those turtles. All 3 of them secured by Belarus for this game.
Belarus, again, having all the aggression in the early game, but they have to remember they're up against the ticking time bomb of the Sicilian. Like you mentioned, Kim, the late game kind of leans more towards Croatia from the draft already. And you're even seeing now, unless they do have the full barrage, they already look quite hesitant to be walking into the Doran Wolfgang, I'm Offended, Minion Fury, Sanguine Claw, crazy amount of combo right here. The only real range advantage they have, because they went for a mid lane Valentina, is that Ixia. So without the full barrage available, you can expect them to play very much more defensive. Unless it happens, though, look at this damage, man.
Yep, they poked Ivona all the way back. Actually, that was a possible attempt, or an attempt actually by Ivona to go in for a setup. She had the flicker. She has 4 deaths right now, and most of the time it is understandable since she is the one being the front line here for Croatia. 8 kills for the side of Belarus. And I think Croatia is again doing what they've been doing, especially in the first and second games. They're just trading off the turrets instead. And now with the Minoan's Fury being used, Ivona right now not going to be able to sustain. And the Curse of Blood going to be able to link Speed or Phage. He's the only one left here. And Relax and Mommy still not untouchable at this point. Getting in the Sanguine Claws. And now they're forcing this turret push right now. Stunning die or buy right now, and it's gonna go down just like that. And if you take a look at the items earlier, Arashi, it was only an Atikuras built here by Relax and Mommy. So it's just pure physical defense that she's going on for right now. She's not even going for the boots.
I mean, she has the advantage of getting a bit more movement speed in her kit. And if you look at how Belarus has been approaching these fights, the backline hasn't really been targeted, right? Due to the superior range, due to the mobility of the Valentina as well. So they're very comfortable just letting the Angela hard guard into the Carmilla. and that is what allows her to keep up in the fights even with a lack of movement speed. And as they go for the Lord right here, Croatia has a chance to go for a combo, but they're being zoned away by the Curse of Blood.
Curse of Blood, again, you're gonna force everybody to back
Ooh.
away. It's social distancing there. So Useless gonna be first one to get bursted down. 2 kills here for the side, but look at Die or Buy. Are they going to try to commit for more? The I'm Offended gonna be missing out on that one. No mana here for Die or Buy, so they're gonna be backing away from that one. The first kill for the side of Croatia, and again, straight to the Lord for the side of Belarus.
So far, very deja vu, man. Belarus has always been able to get the early lead. But again, how far is this going to go? And have they been able to really shut down the members of Croatia? To their credit, the Sicilian hasn't really been able to stack up or farm up as efficiently as I believe Croatia would want. The Hanabi is also 0 and 2. So they're geared up. They're prepared to go for that late game fight. You're seeing the goal difference quite significant. It's not as significant as game number 2 we saw earlier, but a good 4,000 to 5,000 gold lead is definitely still quite good. But now they're going to be waiting for the Lord, and can they actually set up the waves to push together? We highlighted that as one of the issues with the approach of Belarus, and for now it really seems like the Lord still will be arriving. The top side will be arriving first before even the mid lane, unless of course Belarus can kind of influence this right now and prevent Croatia from clearing it.
I just love how the Relax and Mommy is just walking up, kind of walking up straight right there. And now you see the Curse of Blood again, linking in 2, even apart. They still shared the damage there. And now Lord knocking in the base here of Croatia. It's going to get instantly bursted down. Not yet the Luminous one. But man, Belarus, 14 kills. And right now they are executing again so well. And looking at the stats here of the members here of Croatia, a 0-7-0 for the Minotaur of Ivona. I mean, the Curse of Blood always seems to be so instant as compared to the Minoan's Fury here, right? Like, you have to protect your backline. At the same time, the Curse of Blood is just way too subtle, right? Like, you won't be able to notice it. And by the time you notice it, your HP bars are going down.
And if you look at the composition, Belarus is geared for a really good siege, right? Even in history, castles that are heavily defended, one of the ways to break them open is by using a siege. And if you look at Belarus, they have long-range artillery, which is common. They have supply lines as well, because they have the Angela that can heal everyone up. Of course, I think that mindset is shared by Croatia, which is why they also have that Minotaur to really add that sustain in case the fights do get stagnant, do get drawn out and prolonged. But now there's a massive gold difference, which for now is approaching the 8K, about 8,000. Then for Belarus, there's a chance that they can end this a lot more decisively compared to the previous games. So for Croatia, I feel like if they are expecting the games to go like in game number 1 and 2, it's going to be a bit more dangerous. So they're going to have to try and maybe make a surprise play happen, right? With 2 games where they've been the defenders, if they can surprise Belarus with a aggressive Minuan Fury, for instance, I think that could really throw Belarus off.
Yeah. Surprise plays, right? We've seen that time and time again here at IESF. And I think this is the call for it. They're going to get the I'm Offended here onto the next time, Mommy, but she's going to retaliate with the Curse of Blood and the full barrage with the flicker in from Myers. Just taking down Ivona. 2 members down. Succubus is the next one on the chopping board. Speed or Feed as well. Get it taken down there as Relax I'm Mommy. Gonna be taken down. Die or Buy. Oh no, she makes it out with a slither of health though. That would have been really painful to see that Carmilla taking down the Sicilian. But there you have it. The inhibitors are down. Myers gonna work on this turret on the mid side. Will this be enough to finally finish the game? They're doing their very best. They got the link from the Curse of Blood, but it is a little bit too late right now. There's the Minoan's Fury all the way deep in. The full barrage is here. The Heart Guard as well is available. Ivona gonna get worked on once again as Belarus will be able to take down the inhibitor and again go back to this Lord, the Enhanced Lord, by the way, the first Enhanced Lord for this game.
great choice by Belarus there to leave the Lord first and then go straight for one of the base turrets. I think the fact that they were able to actually get one more pick off before also makes sure that Croatia can't really move out. And even if Croatia wants to take the fight near the Lord pit, I think Belarus is very happy to do so. They know that
Yeah.
Croatia's strong suit is where they can just stay inside the base. If we take a look at the items right here, 3-item power spike for the Hanabi, so already a lot of basic attack damage. Whereas for the side of Myers on the Ixia, already the Sea Halberd and the Malefic Roar. So a lot more emphasis on burst and healing reduction, which might really come in handy considering that there's the Minotaur's healing, there is the Aegis from the Hanabi and the built-in shield, and even the Ruby and the Sicilian all have built-in healing. So that is great itemization that is thought of. Now though, they seem to still be waiting to just get a pickoff instead of managing the waves to go for a 3-wave push. Can Croatia defend this now, still on a goal deficit?
Curse of Blood onto 2, and the Avatar of the Guardian! It's just way too beautiful to watch. You get in the full barrage and the flicker. Will this be enough for Belarus to end it this time in a 15-minute match? It is going to be enough. The shutdown comes through, but the base is wide open. Belarus will finally be taking the series.
Finally, a game where they're able to actually go for a decisive end. You're seeing again the adjustments, right? Even though some people want to say, oh, it's a different league, a different level. It's not like the top tier of Mobile Legends. Look at this, man. You can see that there is, an educated decision process when it comes to the strategy, when it comes to the adjustments and the drafts. And it's always beautiful to watch a team struggle so much with a singular problem, right? First of all, a team that's so good at a single style, make it work so well, and a team struggling against that style, finally cracking the code, finding the solution to just immediately deny everything. And that is what happened right here with Belarus. Even from the drafts, they have with full consciousness, they decided that it's about that team fight. It's about that combo. If Croatia wants to play that game, we're going to play that exact same game and beat them at it completely.
Wow, I think this is probably one of the games that it's really so satisfying to see, like, the layering of skills really go together very well. Like the Curse of Blood, and then at times when the Valentina would pick up the Minoan's Fury, right? Like, it's so beautiful. And then to top it all off, you got the Avatar of the Guardian and the Ixia here. Myers just has a fantastic time just positioning herself, because you got chain CCs after CCs just like that. Like, you just delete an entire team, and that is just the way to go. Like, 15 minutes, we were anticipating a longer matches due to the first 2 matches we've seen, but this time Belarus closes it out real strong and finally seals the game. 15 minutes.
By all means, Belarus's draft is also very ultimate reliant, but they made the best out of it. And the Ixia, again, doesn't have any threats against her anyways, and that's why she is able to actually flicker forwards again and again to increase the range of that full barrage. It's just a great game plan from Belarus. So congratulations to them for finding a solution finally, but it's not done for Croatia. They're gonna play again right here. So I think we're ready for it so much, Kim, but we have to take a small break right here and also allow Croatia to take a break as well. So stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen, for the IESF Europe Regional Qualifiers Ladies Series. We'll be right back.